What's up, guys? I'm NBA shooting coach Dave Love, and in this video I want to teach you how far apart you should be getting your feet when you shoot the basketball, why it matters, and how come you don't always see the best NBA shooters doing this. Before we go too far into the video, if you want more information from a real NBA shooting coach that works with real NBA players and helps them shoot career highs, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, so a lot of your consistency is going to come from your balance when you shoot. You want to be a more consistent shooter, you got to be on better balance. You want to be on better balance, you have to get your feet wider apart when you shoot. Now, before we get too far into this, I need you to understand that balance isn't our only concern when we shoot the basketball. Here's what I mean. If you go with a really wide stance when you shoot the basketball, you're going to be really balanced, really stable, but not very powerful. And if you go with a really narrow stance, you're going to be really powerful, but not very stable. We need a combination of both to be a better shooter. We need to search for this sweet spot between a really stable position and a really powerful position, but I need you to understand this. We can find power in other parts of our shot. We can get power from our wrist snap, from our elbow, but we can't really get stability from any other part of our body than our lower body. So we need to really focus on a stable position with our lower body when we shoot the basketball. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to figure out how wide your hips are. Now, most coaches talk about shoulder width apart. I talk about hip width apart. The only reason for the difference is that when you look down at your feet, you can easily see your hips, but you can't really see your shoulders. Hip width and shoulder width, basically the same idea. It's just hip width is easier to see. Now, I want you to get your feet wide apart enough that you could fit the hips in between the insides of our shoes. So we don't want the width of our hips to be the same as the outsides of our feet. We want the width of our hips to be the same as the insides of our feet. Now you might say, but coach, I don't see the best players in the game doing this, having their feet this wide apart all the time when they shoot, so does it really matter? Well, if you are unable to get your feet wide apart, you're making the shots more difficult. And having your feet narrow is part of the reason why players shoot a lower percentage from further away. Yes, distance plays a role. Yes, defenders play a role. But what really happens is the defender takes away time so that a shooter can't get in the perfect situation. This is why practicing with your feet wide apart, even though you might not need the balance, is going to be so important. You're going to practice for the worst case scenario and be able to execute great habits in that setting rather than practicing for a practice setting and not being able to execute once you get into a game. Now, it might not always be possible for you to get into a perfect position, but make sure in practice you're building as perfect a habit as possible so when you come across a great defender in a game, your habits will help you fight against them. If you need help with your balance, your consistency, or your repeatability, make sure you click the link in the description and look for 7 Days to Better Balance. That's where I can teach you all the drills and progressions I do with my NBA players to help them improve as shooters as well. And don't forget, if you love getting information from a real NBA shooting coach to help you improve as a shooter, make sure you comment on this video, like this video, and subscribe to my channel.